Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wrestling Ramblings. This is episode 11. My name's Terry Speller. I am the wrestling superfan. Now, WWE news. Last week, Punk never showed, and the crowd didn't take over. WWE smartly took over before the crowd could. They brung out Heyman, got Heyman to say some words. Heyman, as normal, master on the mic, played to the crowd, then spun it right round and made it so the crowd thought they were taking over when really they were chanting everything that WWE seemed to make them want them to chant. So well done WWE and well done Paul Heyman. If only WWE had something to worry them to do that every time, because they put on quite a good show last week. No, with the thought that the Chicago crowd was going to take over. But hey ho, it just won't happen all the time. Batista is now fully heel, thank God. Them trying their best to try and make him a face just wasn't going to work. Him returning to be this awesome powerhouse and good guy has failed miserably. No one believes in him. Everyone wants Punk or Bryan or Daniel Bryan. It seems that the era of the really big guys is starting to fade. Daniel Bryan, however, this week got his match with Triple H. He got the crowd to get in the ring and basically hold Raw hostage till Triple H gave in, and not only give him the match at Mania for him versus Triple H versus Bryan Daniels. Daniel Bryan, sorry. If Daniel Bryan wins, sorry, I keep saying Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, but that was his indie name. If Daniel Bryan wins against Triple H at WrestleMania, then he will go on to the main event at WrestleMania versus Batista and Randy Orton. Oh God, I wish he does. I wish it happens that way, but somehow, for some reason, I can't see Triple H losing. I've got a feeling they've stuck that stipulation in because everyone is expecting Triple H to lose now, to make everyone believe that the story's going to go as Triple H is going to lose, Daniels is going to go on to the main event and either win it or lose it, but he will be in the main event. I reckon, personally, Triple H will win, meaning that Daniel Bryan doesn't get into the main event, which means the crowd are going to hate the company and the family, or whatever the hell they're called, even more. And they're going to get behind Daniel Bryan even more. Hopefully, if that's the way it's going to go, Bryan loses in a respectable way. He's made to look strong. It isn't just a case of 1, 2, 3 pin, Triple H dominates the whole match. I hope that Daniel Bryan gets a heck of a good showing. TNA news. And it was lockdown this past Sunday. 2 matches have just the weirdest endings, as far as I've been told and saw and been made aware of. The Anderson match is just a weird, bad finish. Unless they edit it, it's not going to be a very good one. Hebner, who was the ref, is either retarded, stupid, or just an idiot. I'm not going to spoil it, but either way, if they keep it in how it ended, then yeah, it just makes no sense. The Magnus versus Samoa Joe match, that one apparently, and from what I saw, was a very, very solid match, right up until the end when it all kind of went a bit Vince Russo. And again, I'm not going to spoil it, but either way, just watch it and see, and you won't probably understand what I mean. Now, the reason I've kind of skimmed through TNA and WWE is because there was 2 fantastic shows in the Southwest this past weekend, and I was lucky to be part of both and at both. So first was the LEP show from the Brixham Theatre in Brixham, and what a show that was. First match saw UK Dominator bring out his new boy, Dynamite David Fury, who took on Darren Xavier. It was a fast-paced match which ended in UK Dominator when UK Dominator interfered. And after the pinfall, both Fury and Dominator beat down Xavier until the Rocker John Harding came out to make the save. From this, a tag match was booked for later in the evening. Their new GM, the Moneymaker AJ Harrison, came out to run down the theme of the evening, which everything pretty much led to the ladder match at the end of the show. Whoever won the ladder match would be crowned the first ever Southwest champion. First qualifying match was Tyler Hawk versus Robbie Devonshire. Great match, lots of back and forth. Hawk showing everyone why he is the best and most polished technical wrestler in the sport today in the UK. Finish was a double count out though. When both went outside, I'm afraid AJ Harrison had caught my attention and was talking to me, I think, in my ear, so I kind of missed how they ended up outside. But when Robbie was trying to get back in the ring, Tyler Hawk was keeping him out of the ring, hence the double count out. AJ Harrison didn't like this, but he had no choice but to turn it in, put both guys through, so they both were entered into the ladder match at the end of the night. Next match was the next qualifier, and it was Pretty Marvellous Danny Walsh versus his estranged brother, the artist formerly known as Mark Walsh, Chris Marvel. This, as normal, from these two, was an epic match, and plenty of back and forth again. As the sort of match you'd expect from two who know each other so well. The finish came when, while the ref was down, Chris handed the chair to Danny and pretended to have been hit by it, a la Eddie Guerrero. But before the ref was up, Danny did the same and handed the chair to Chris. Then Chris handed it back to Danny. Danny handed it back to Chris. Then an argument between the two broke out as to who holds the chair. Then the ref turned around and came to and saw this, and then both basically saw them both holding the chair and disqualified them both. AJ Harrison, the GM, was fuming about this and had another because it was another no contest at the night. So both qualifiers ended with no clear winner. So in the end, he just decided to put both through. So in the end, it turned what was going to be a standard ladder match, 1-on-1, into a fatal 4-way ladder match. I will get to that in a bit. After a short break, it was time for the tag match. Harding and Xavier worked as a great team. They really gave UK Dominator and Fury a run for their money. Good back and forth again, and John Harding seemed to be acting a little odd throughout, and with some unusual offense. And what I can only describe as the move of, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. John Harding pulled out a move or something that I don't think anyone's ever seen. He kind of turned himself into a turtle. It's hard to explain, but he basically turned himself into a ball and stayed there. And it threw everyone. Nobody knew what to make of it. And UK Dominator essentially rolled John Harding around the ring, and Harding did not move. It was only when Dominator got distracted by the fans and basically wanted to know and talked to the ref to want to know what the hell was going on, that Harding then unrolled out of a ball and took Dominator down with a leg lock up. It was just, it's hard to explain, and if anyone was there and saw it, maybe you'd have a better luck explaining it, because I can't. Either way, it was a brilliant move and a fantastic show of technical prowess by John Harding, just to sort of throw UK Dominator off his game. Pardon me. The end. Xavier and Harding got the win with a double sunset flip pin, getting the 3 count. However, after John didn't seem too happy that Darren had got most of the crowd reaction, and I guess felt a little bit jealous. There were some words between the two and some pushing until John stormed off. Who knows where this will lead, or if John was just having a bad day. Finally, it was the main event, and boy, it did not disappoint. It really didn't. It was a fantastic main event. I'm sorry to say I was hooked with this match, and I can't really tell you everything, or even half the things that went on. However, Danny seemed to injure his knee pretty bad midway through, and Tyler Hawk seemed to also do the same with his back because he was holding it quite a lot. And Robbie Devonshire was holding his shoulder, seemed really favouring his shoulder, and poor Chris Marvel must have... I lost count of how many nut shots he took throughout this match, including a baseball slide to a ladder between the nuts. That hurt. You could see it on his face when he rolled out the ring. I thought he was going to puke, to be perfectly honest. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I think everyone in the match had suffered injuries and suffered to get that belt. It was brutal to watch. Four of the best wrestlers in the Southwest go at it so hard, but the end came when Robbie climbed the ladder with a dislocated shoulder, of all things, to become the first ever Southwest champion. The match and whole show was just fantastic. And if you want to be part of the action, then LEP will be coming from Payton Methodist Church in Payton on Saturday the 12th of April. Go to www.lepwrestling.co.uk for more info. I promise you need to check it out. They have a Portuguese sensational wrestling star called Red Eagle coming down. It promises to be amazing show, and if it's anything like the past show I was at, then you're bound to be entertained and you're going to have a whale of a time. Then came Sunday, and the PWA UK show from Stonehouse Creek in Plymouth. As normal, the crowd were ace and fully into the whole show. I was ring announcer, and before I could start things off, as normal, it seems to be the case at the moment, I got cut off by Johnny Sicko with some 7-foot guy whose name I can't pronounce. Sicko came out came out and put an open challenge out for this 7-foot guy, which no one accepted, and then insulted the fans before they both just left. What a douche. Then we started the show, and it was for a chance to regain a PWA contract. It saw Supersonic Kane take on the newly crowned Southwest champion Robbie Devonshire. Robbie had once had a contract with PWA, but it ended a few years back, so he wanted a chance to regain it. I don't know why he lost it, but there you go. Anyway, nice match, lots of old school wrestling on show, and Robbie finally was a firm fan favourite with the crowd. He looked like he would get the win until Kane hit a roll up and put both feet on the ropes to cheat. Ref never saw, and Robbie is without a contract still. Let's hope he gets another chance. And like I say, it was a proper old school match. It was really, really good. Kane as normal, cheating to win. However, I must admit, Kane is one of the few proper old school wrestlers out there who really knows his craft and doesn't do all the flippy, high flying stuff. He pretty much grounds and pounds and wraps you up and keeps you there. Robbie, however, can fight out of anything and put on a great show. And if it wasn't for the fact of the cheat, Robbie could have won hands down. Next was the contract signing for the May 4th main event between champion Chris Marvel and the English Lion Eddie Ryan. Eddie had his tag team partner and close friend Jason LaRusso there with him. They both hyped the main event and the match, and they signed the contract. But Chris then cheap-shotted LaRusso when their backs were turned before jumping out and getting out of dodge pretty quickly. John Harding then decided that at that Sunday show, the main event would be a non-title match between Jason LaRusso and Chris Marvel, with the stipulation being Eddie Ryan would be guest referee. Chris Marvel wasn't too happy about this, as understandable. Next match was Danny Walsh versus Simon Harding. This was a smash mouth match. Lots of hard hitting action, and you could see the handprints and marks on both these guys' bodies as the match went on. Danny hit an elbow drop from the top, but only could get a 2 count from this when Harding kicked out. Harding hit his Burning Hammer finisher, but Danny, through sheer instinct, I've got to believe, kicked out. It took 2 pedigrees in the end to finish Harding off, and Danny got the win. After the match, they shook hands as a true sign of respect towards each other. Then came a fantastic match between Eddie Ryan and Tyler Hawk. These two have faced so many times that I think they're pretty even when it comes to the win-lose score. Eddie picked up the win, but only just. After a short interval, it was the six-man tag, UK Dominator, PJ Jones and Johnny Sicko versus John Harding, Richard Worsley and Soldier Boy, Steve Prince. Lots of offense in the match as the match started as any other, but quickly turned into a brawl, lots of fighting around the ring. In the ring, Sicko hit Worsley with one of the stiffest thrust kicks I have ever seen. How he was knocked out cold is beyond me. And it was even more surprising when he kicked out at 2, and then Worsley got the win over Sicko when he hit him with his cradle shock. That was just, I was not expecting that at all. After the match, there was still a lot of shouting and getting into each other's faces until Prince got on the mic and challenged UK Dominator to a chain match at the anniversary show. And then John made a match between Richard Worsley and Johnny Sicko for the new All Counties Championship at May 4th. Then came the big one. He told the egotistical winner, PJ Jones, that on May 4th he would be facing the next TNA star coming over, Mr. Anderson. The crowd went nuts, and PJ looked like he'd seen a ghost. There are pictures on Facebook from the Southwest Wrestling photographer. His face says it all, and the crowd's reaction was just amazing. It was fantastic, it really was. Next came the main event, and what a main event! Jason LaRusso showed everyone why he's a fast rising star in the UK scene, and he took it to Chris Marvel. It was a quick hard-hitting match and also heart-stopping match. At one point, Jason pushed Chris into Eddie, which made Eddie respond with a super kick, but Chris dodged, causing Ryan to kick his friend instead. It looked like Jason was out cold, and Marvel was going to get the win. However, Jason LaRusso was able to kick out. Marvel then hit the go to sleep, but still only got a 2 count. Then out of nowhere, Jason hit a roll-up for the win. However, in my personal opinion, from where I was standing, it seemed like it was a little bit of a fast count on Eddie's behalf. After, Marvel was livid and he let the fans know he was. So, if that was the weekend, and it was a fantastic weekend. All the matches on show highlighted everyone's skills perfectly. Every match was an outstanding match and would be, it could be main event anywhere. The whole show, both of them, were amazing and really showed how much heart and determination and effort everyone's putting into making these shows something special. So, if you want to see what happens next between Eddie Ryan and Chris Marvel, then you need to come to the biggest wrestling event in the whole of the Southwest. That's right, that's PWA UK's 5th anniversary show at the Plymouth Guild Hall. And here's some of the reasons why people should turn up to this. Chris Andrews versus TNA's Gunner. Steve Prince and the UK Dominator will be chained together by 9 feet of steel, so Dominator can't get away, and it's going to be a brutal match, that one. Proper old school chain match. Think in the ways of an old NWA match when it was Greg Valentine versus Rowdy Piper. That's the kind of thing I'm expecting. Johnny Sicko versus Richard Worsley to go out for the new belt. Plus the fantastic main event of the English Lion Eddie Ryan versus the artist formerly known as Mark Walsh, Chris Marvel, for the PWA Championship. That in itself will be worth the price of admission. There's also much more, and on top of all of that, you have the winner PJ Jones versus TNA's Mr. Anderson. And if that wasn't enough, the voice of Duke Nukem, John St. John, will be the special guest host. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be the MC of that night, but you will have John St. John, so I'm glad it's in capable hands. So yeah, for more information, go to the PWA Facebook page. That is Official Plymouth Wrestling Alliance. For more information, ticket prices, and also anything else PWA related, all there. So yes, there you go. That's been the weekend. That's been WWE and it's been TNA stuff. Now, before I go, I wanted to just say a few words about 4 wrestlers whom have shown me some real respect as late, and they also listen to this little show, which completely surprised me. You've heard me talk about them now. You've heard me talk about them, and now I'm going to talk about them in a biased way. beforehand, I try and talk to you about them as a fan, and also I talk to you about these four and about certain individuals from a ring announcer's perspective, as in, I can't be biased, I cannot be a good guy and I cannot be a bad guy. I have to tell you exactly how I'm supposed to talk to you like. But right now, this is for all the smart marks out there, I guess, or however you want to call them, however you want to call us. But this is me talking as Terry Speller, not the wrestling superfan. This is me talking as Terry Speller. And I'm going to talk about these four now. Tyler Hawk is one of the best all-round technical wrestlers in the UK today, and can ground any opponent of any size, and he can do it with some amazing submissions. Robbie Devonshire, he is the UK's very own Dusty Rhodes, and I mean 80s era Rhodes here, when he was after Flair for the title. This guy may not have the typical body that you'd expect for a wrestler nowadays, but he can move like lightning and is one hell of a heavy hitter. And over the weekend, he showed me the determination of doing 2 nights straight with a dislocate. He dislocated his shoulder night 1, night 2, he was back in there fighting. That shows real heart and determination to give the fans what they want. Mark Walsh, or as I like to call him, the artist formerly known as Mark Walsh, and he now is known as Chris Marvel. This guy has bags of talent, and he is a fan of wrestling. He hits a fisherman's suplex perfectly, if you get the pun. And no one else out there at the moment can hit, apart from Randy Orton, can hit an RKO as good as Mark Walsh. He is championship gold. He has championship gold in his blood, and I hope he holds on to the PWA title a long time. If not, I'm sure there is gold very, very soon coming towards him. Danny Walsh. This guy has been a champion in, I believe, every company he has worked in the Southwest. He has passion and talent, and he is, like his name says, pretty marvellous. He has bled and busted his arse off to be where he is, and been in some of the biggest main events in the Southwest. These 4 people are my fantastic 4. They really are. 4 guys who you can put in any type of match, in any promotion, anywhere in the country, and they will give you an A+ or match of the night every time. So, to any promotions out there in the country, in the UK, or even in Europe, or anywhere, if you're looking for talent and you want to put your company on the map, then hire one of the 4 people I've just mentioned. These 4 will not disappoint. In my eyes, they are the Southwest's 4 horsemen. And if you don't believe me, right now, on this date, 11th of March 2014, Tyler is the Pride Catch Division champion, Robbie is the new Southwest champion, Chris Marvel is PWA UK champion, and Danny is Pride champion. 4 guys, 4 top titles in 3 promotions. The 4 horsemen at one point held all the titles, all the gold. That is what made them the best 4 guys, is they had all the gold. These 4 guys have all the gold. At the moment, they are the champions. They may not be all world champions, but they are champions, either of companies or divisions within a company. And in my opinion, I think some tag team gold should come to them next. But we shall see what the future holds. Until next time, I hope everyone's enjoyed listening to this. I am the wrestling superfan Terry Speller. Until next time, have a good evening.